Stephenhoking. Today I'm going to teach you about space. This is the sun. It goes first. Now this is Mercury. Mercury is grey and it's the nearest planet to the sun. Now we have Venus, the hottest planet. Now I have Earth. Now Mars with the tallest mountains. Now I have Jupiter, the biggest planet. Saturn with rings. The next biggest planet, Uranus. Uranus is the coldest planet. And finally, Neptune. Now, this is the black hole. It goes right here. This is our solar system. Who was Professor Stephenhoking? This is Professor Stephenhoking. He was a world-famous scientist. Find out more about him below.
Professor Stephenhoking. In the 20th century, Professor Stephenhoking made a huge difference to the world by solving some of the biggest mysteries of the universe and helping ordinary people to understand science.
Black holes are stranger than anything dreamed up by science fiction writers, but they are firmly matters of science fact.
Born in 1942, Stephen was clever, curious, and loved mathematics. He studied and worked at two of the world's most famous universities, Oxford and Cambridge. He said his goal was to have a complete understanding of the universe. But when he was 21, Stephen's body developed a disease. His brain stopped sending messages to his body properly. He was told he only had 2 years to live. Nevertheless, he carried on with his work. After a few years, he couldn't walk or talk and needed a special wheelchair. But he had lived longer than anyone expected, over 50 years longer. To help ordinary people understand science, Stephen published a book called A Brief History of Time in 1998. Then in 2007, he wrote a book for children. Now everyone could understand more about the universe. Despite his disease, Stephen had a great sense of fun and was determined to do as much as he could. He had 3 children, wrote 15 books, and even flew like an astronaut. Stephenhoking died aged 76 in 2018. He said, "Remember to look up at the sky and not down at your feet. However difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't give up." Because Stephen didn't give up, we can all understand more about the universe.
Key fact: Professor Stephenhoking was a very clever scientist. He wrote many best-selling science books. At the age of 22, he was only given a few years to live, but he lived to 67 and became one of the world's greatest scientists. Do you remember what happened in Professor Stephenhoking's life? Try the activity below. As a child, Stephen loved science and maths. He studied and worked at 2 famous universities. He wrote world-famous science books. He flew like an astronaut.
Well done. You really know about Professor Stephenhoking's life.
Did you know Stephen said he didn't learn to read properly until he was 8 years old? When he was a young man, he liked to drive his electric wheelchair too fast. He ran over the toes of some students. Later on, because of his disease, he was only able to speak with a special computer. He controlled it by moving his cheek. This is Stephenhocking's picture. So when he was a young man, he liked to drive his electric wheelchair too fast. He ran over the toes of some students. He worked and studied at two of the most famous universities, Oxford and Cambridge. And that was it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hello, and I'm EllaSkye, and today we're going to be reading Stephenhoking. Now, this is a story about a scientist called Stephen, and he solves the mysteries of the universe. Let's hear about his story. Stephenhoking. Just to let you know, Stephenhoking is a scientist. Little Stephen was born in Oxford, England, just as a great world war was raging. At night, he would look up at the stars and wonder what else was out there. Raging means begin, like a great world war was beginning. His parents loved science, as did Stephen and his three siblings. They all ate dinner with a knife, a fork, and the company of a good book. Stephen was never top of the class, but at school everyone called him Einstein, like the famous scientist. One day he built a computer from clock parts and an old telephone. Stephen was never top of the class means he was never the best student in the class. Curiosity always came before schoolwork with Stephen, but still he made it into the best universities in England, Oxford and Cambridge. He wanted to solve the mysteries of the universe. Universe is everything, but normally just the space, the sky, the stars. Stephen was busy enjoying himself studying cosmology when suddenly he started dropping things and tripping over for no reason. Even his speech became hard to understand. Speech means his talking became hard to understand. Doctors told him that a rare disease was paralyzing his body and he had only 2 more years to live. Rare means only a little amount of people had it. Paralyzing means all over his body. Stephen felt like the whole universe was falling down around him. Instead of looking down at his feet, Stephen decided to look up at the stars. Maybe he couldn't control his body, but in order to study the universe, all he needed was his mind. His wife Jane stood by his side and gave him all the support he needed. They had 3 children, and Stephen loved to give them rides on his wheelchair. That's Lucy. Stephen turned his attention to black holes, some of the strangest and most powerful objects in the galaxy. So powerful that not even light could escape from them. Attention means his whole body to black holes. Or so scientists thought. But Stephen proved that black holes were not so black after all. There was a tiny light escaping from them. It was named Hawking radiation. By this time, Stephen had lost his voice and found a new one with a robotic drawl. With his new voice, he dictated a book that helped the world understand the meaning of the universe. believed that one day humans would cross galaxies to live on faraway planets. He celebrated his 65th birthday by taking a zero-gravity ride with a team of astronauts, leaving his wheelchair for the first time in 40 years. By becoming the most brilliant scientist of today, little Stephen made an amazing discovery. However difficult life may seem, there is always something that you can do and succeed at. Succeed means do. Wow, Stephen is a clever scientist. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe for more videos. See you next